At the holy city of Atlanta, people cheer for the Saintess Beat, who is believed to be the one destined to save them. She is expected to use her powers to stop the impending disaster and revive the Imperial Kyrix. It is said she is predestined to become the crown princess. The Duchess of Chambel has endured so much hate to ensure that Beat would reach this position. As for the Duke, it is like a pumpkin rolling down over the vine. No one has ever seen her using her power, they whisper, but she is the woman said to have been protecting the Empire all this time. Surely, there must be a reason for her silence. The Empire's founding oracle had predicted that a Saintess would appear, and she would receive the Empire and prevent the disasters destined to come. This is the continent of the oracle. However, even though Beat was chosen, she has never been able to use her holy powers. Her father tried to guide her, but eventually, using the help of the High Priest, he decided to hide her condition. If the world were to learn that she couldn't use her holy powers, they would all turn their backs on her. So she must become the perfect Saintess. It is said that once she becomes that perfect image, her powers will bloom on their own. One of her maids comes to her and asks her to come inside and rest, reminding her that she has already prayed so much until just yesterday. But Beat replies that she is alright, that this is what she needs to do. Another maid enters and tells her that a letter has arrived for the Saintess from the Duke of Chambel. It is the first time her father has ever sent her a letter. Her father, who hasn't spoken a single word to her in the last 10 years. He writes that something important has happened, and that he has already informed the High Premiers. She may come to the duchy immediately. Beat is overjoyed. She thinks that her father is finally going to acknowledge her. Even the maids are excited upon hearing that she might be going home. They are genuinely happy for her, saying that finally her father is calling her, and she is returning. Beat has missed her place so dearly. She is showered and dressed, and it is the first time they have seen her this shy. The maids beam as they dress her up. At the Duke of Chambel's residence, Beat is greeted by the maid. She asks where her father is, and the maid tells her that he is waiting in the garden. Beat had not expected a grand welcome, but seeing how quiet everything is, it feels strange. Then, she hears someone laughing. It's her father. She has never heard him laugh like this before. The man who was always strict had never once smiled at her or at anyone else. She doesn't recognize the little child with black hair and red eyes who stands beside him. As the little girl sees Beat, she runs toward her with a wide smile to welcome her. But just as she gets close, the girl deliberately falls to the ground. Beat's brother immediately pushes Beat away and runs to lift the little girl, asking if she is alright. Then he begins to scold Beat, questioning whether she is in her right mind. Beat is stunned. She insists that she did nothing, but her father glares at her and says that this is the first time she has come to the house, and even then she bullies a stranger. Beat tries to explain herself, but her father grows angrier. He tells her he doesn't want to hear her excuses, and that she has never done anything right. Beat still tries to defend herself, saying that she didn't mean to, but he shouts that this is exactly why she was cast out of the temple. Beat is stunned. Wasn't it he who invited her here? Her brother says that it seems she doesn't know yet, but now that he thinks about it, it's rather doubtful after all. The Saintess holds the highest rank in the temple, and she still doesn't know about this matter. Lina, the little girl, says that it's understandable. Beat must have been too excited to come home and miss the important news. Then, Lina reveals her holy powers. Beat's father looks at Lina and declares that this is true holy power. It is something that Beat can never accomplish, no matter how hard she tries her whole life. The flower of the oracle has bloomed. The oracle flower, a mysterious bloom that chooses the Saintess, had indeed selected Beat 10 years ago. But now, another flower has bloomed next to the original one. The temple has accepted this as the sign of the birth of the true Saintess. The new Saintess chosen by God is the child with black hair and red eyes. In other words, the child is Lina. Beat stands there, confused. What do they mean, another flower has bloomed? What about the 10 years she gave to the Empire? What do they mean by calling Lina the Saintess? Lina adds that it seems Beat doesn't know yet either, but starting today, she has also become a member of the family. She is a precious child now. Beat's father turns to her and asks her to take care of Lina. From the outside, Lina acts all sweet. But this girl is the real devil. Beat begins to wonder if this is truly holy power, then why can she sense the evil energy radiating from Lina? If everyone truly believes Lina is the Saintess, then why does her presence feel so wrong? But before she can dwell on the thought, Lina begins to cry. She puts on an act, saying that it must be because Beat doesn't like her. After all, She's just an orphan. Why would Beat ever accept someone like her as a younger sister? She even suggests it might be because of the crown prince. Beat is still confused when her father suddenly shouts at her. The Saintess is supposed to be the princess who marries the crown prince, so naturally, Beat's engagement has been called off. 10 years ago, at the Imperial Palace, Kale had asked Beat if she was really going to Atlanta. She had told him she was sorry, but that she would pray for his health. Kale had asked her to come back soon and made her promise that she would. Now, Beat is unable to believe the flower has bloomed again. And on top of that, she is being forced to break up with Kale. She plans to return to Atlanta and check everything for herself. On her way, she sees a lamb. Beat asks a maid what they are doing with the animal. The maid replies that it is to prepare healthy food for Lina. They plan to raise the lamb. But Beat is shocked to learn that meat is included in Lina's meals. As the Saintess, eating meat is considered taboo. It is believed that doing so will bring disaster to Atlanta. The high priest had once warned her that it is forbidden even to mention such things. If Lina is the real Saintess, she should not be eating meat at all. Beat decides she must meet Lina and let her know. She rushes to her. Lina scoffs when she sees Beat running and sweating, asking what she's doing here. Beat tries to explain. The Saintess does not cut flowers, she says, and since the maids are preparing for the coronation, Lina should be careful on sacred days like this. Also, meat should not be in her diet. Lina glares at her and accuses her of being mean just because she's the senior Saintess. Then, with venom in her eyes, she hisses that Beat should be dead by now if she isn't the real Saintess. Beat shouts back that Lina is taking everything the wrong way. People will die if the taboo is broken. Lina tells her to mind her own business. She already knows what kind of disaster is going to happen. This enrages Beat even more. If she truly knows, then why is she not thinking about the believers? That comment sparks something dark in Lina. She screams, accusing Beat of trying to act like the main character again. Then she draws a pair of scissors, shrieking at Beat not to get in her way. She lunges forward, about to strike Beat with the scissors. At that exact moment, the Duke arrives with a maid. Their eyes widen in horror as they see the scene. But before anyone can react, Lina deliberately injures herself, then collapses, pretending that Beat is the one who hurt her. She gasps and asks why Beat did that, then loses consciousness. The Duke rushes to Lina, shouting at her to wake up. Beat is stunned. She doesn't understand what is happening. Why is all of this happening? The Duke turns to her, rage boiling in his eyes. He screams at Beat, calling her a stupid, crazy bitch. Beat tries to explain. She tells him she really didn't do it. But her father is beyond reason. He shouts that she has gone completely insane. Lina has already taken her position, taken her fiancé, and now this? He had no idea she could fall this far. He says he has truly wasted all his time and money sending her to the temple. He declares that she is no longer part of their family. She is a shame to them all. In her childhood, rather than receiving love from her father who was respected everywhere, she only carries memories of struggle. There was one time when her father climbed Mount just to protect a certain knight. He even sacrificed his life for that knight, and now everyone fans over that man. It is this very incident that has convinced the people of this land to believe in her father so deeply. Seeing her father being admired like this, she once ran up to him, but he only glared at her, demanding to know who the hell brought her there and how she could be wandering around when she should be attending her classes. He declared that she should be raised in a way that helps the family. The knight told him that she came just to meet him, but her father coldly replied that it was a waste of her time. Now, back in the present, the coachman informs her that they have reached the outskirts of the town. She steps off, thinking how even before she was chosen she was someone her father never needed. She had worked hard enough to make her father acknowledge her, but in the end, she couldn't even use her holy power. As she is lost in thought, someone calls out to her. It's Balt, her commander. He says it's good that she has returned. She asks him how the temple is, and how the believers are. He tells her that they are all fine, but that he doesn't know what to say to her. She assures him that she is all right, as she has already heard that a new flower has bloomed at the annex, and that the temple has blocked her return. Balt still insists that he believes Beat is the real Saintess, but she replies that he must have already heard she can't use her powers. He agrees, but adds that there are rumors Lina's power might be black magic. Even when Beat was officially the Saintess, there were others who claimed to possess holy power, but in the end, they were all witches. Balt shows her a letter containing instructions on how to perform black magic. She is confused why he is showing this to her. He explains that these are the instructions Lina was given, and then he asks Beat, since she is the true Saintess and the only one who can save them, what she plans to do. He tells her to convince the people by writing a letter. She wonders if they will even believe her, but Balt assures her that they will. After all, she has worked so hard for Atlanta, and the sacrifices she's made over the past 10 years should not go to waste. She feels glad that there are still people out there who recognize her efforts. Balt then tells her that Lina's coronation is going to take place in a few days, and he asks her to stay until then. If she is there, he says he'll feel more at ease, knowing she is watching over him. She replies that they might as well give it a try. On the day of the coronation, everyone is stunned to see how elegant she looks even with her face covered when she walks toward the altar. But just then, someone shouts that she is the fake Saintess and demands that she be captured immediately. She is shocked. A knight steps forward and rips off her veil, revealing that she is, in fact, Beat. The knight claims they already have evidence against her. Beat sees Balt approaching from behind, smirking, with Lina by his side. Just a few moments earlier, Balt had told Beat that he suspected Lina might use black magic. Beat had said they should expose her at the ceremony, but Balt replied that the black magic ritual had already begun. Even if she said anything now, it would be too late. He had planned that she would go and stop the coronation, while he would stop the dark ritual, but it turns out it was all a trap. Balt now addresses the crowd, declaring that Beat is a witch who came here to sacrifice everyone and even tried to kidnap Lina. Beat protests, demanding to know why he is saying such things, as he was the one who asked for her help. But Balt shouts back that her story is nonsense, and then asks how she's going to explain the evidence the letter she supposedly wrote herself so she wouldn't get hurt by Lina's black magic. Someone has added a forged letter into Balt's possession, perfectly imitating her handwriting. Balt yells that the evidence clearly shows she performed black magic and tried to sacrifice Lina for her own selfish interests, and that she even attempted to murder Lina. The people turn to look at the large wound on Lina's hand. Beat tries to explain that it's all fake, that she is not the witch, that Lina is, and that she is being framed, but no one is willing to believe her. They tell her that the evidence is already there, so she better stop lying. And just like that, she is sentenced to death. Now she is taken to Mount Pier, where they plan to throw her off the cliff. She cannot believe it how her entire existence, her years of dedication, have been reduced to this. They believe she tried to kill them all, but the truth is she was only trying to save them. She begs for someone, anyone, to help her. In the crowd, her eyes catch Lina's figure. Of course, Lina is here. The very one who took everything from her fiancé, her family, and 10 years of her life. How could she? Lina steps forward, approaching the knight. She tells him that she only wishes for her sister to repent. With gentle steps, she walks over to Beat, pretending to be kind, but the moment they are face to face, her expression twists into something cruel. With a devilish scoff, Lina mocks her for being such an idiot. She sneers that yes, it's true Beat should never have touched black magic. Then Lina leans in closer and asks if Beat still suspects that she's the one who used it. With a wicked grin, Lina confesses yes, she did use the black magic. And so what? What can Beat do now, standing at death's door? Lina whispers that she will make sure Beat dies, and then she'll destroy her family too. Her voice drops lower, colder, as she declares that with black magic, she will kill everyone here. The only one left standing, the only one who will rise to be the main character, will be Lina. Stepping back, Lina sighs theatrically, saying it seems Beat still isn't ready to repent. But Beat, trembling, realizes she truly can't die like this. If she does, her family will be ruined. Everything will be lost. She thinks that maybe, if she had just made different choices, acted better, smiled more, tried harder not to disappoint anyone, maybe things would have turned out differently. She regrets the past, regrets how frustrated and angry she used to be. But if she gets the chance to live again, she won't try to be nice. She won't care if people point fingers or call her names. If she wants to achieve her goal, then so be it. She'll do it even if she must become the villain. Her eyes suddenly fly open. She gasps, realizing she's alive. Relief washes over her, but quickly, panic sets in. She's in her room, but her family there still in danger. She jumps up and starts running. She must save them. Her brother, her father. She has to get to them. The maid, startled, asks if she is all right and what she is doing. But Beat stops suddenly, staring at her own hands. They're small, much too small. That's when it hits her. These are the hands of a child. She realizes that she's young again. Do people start dreaming when they die? The maid, concerned, asks if she should call for the doctor. But Beat demands to know what year is it? How old is she? The maid answers softly, saying that Beat is around 10 years old right now. Beat's heart pounds in her chest. What the hell is going on? Why isn't she in Atlanta? Did her father say anything about it? The maid, confused, asks why she would go there. She's holding a letter in her hands. Beat snatches it and asks who it's from. It's from her older brother, something about the end of the spring semester. Beat's eyes widen. It's spring right now, but it was winter when the oracle came out, which means nothing has happened yet. Nothing has changed. In the bitter winter of the 10th year, the flower blooms and she is chosen as the Saintess, but she is not able to use her powers. She used to believe that maybe, just maybe, if she could use them, her father would finally love her. The priest always told her that if she became the perfect Saintess, her powers would awaken. To do so, she would have to become completely loyal to the temple. So she starts to focus all her thoughts on the temple, valuing it even more than her own life. She thinks that perhaps, by doing so, she can earn her father's love. But it doesn't happen like that. They all still turn their backs on her. Now, she finds herself returned to a body that hasn't even received the oracle yet. She doesn't know how it happened, but one thing is certain: there is something she must do first. She needs to find Lina. She must stop her before it's too late. But she feels lost, unsure of what she can even do with this small, childish body. It is immature and uncomfortable. The maid tells her that she is the only one meant to become the crown princess, that even Kale is going to fall in love with her today. But none of it matters to her right now. She had been Kale's childhood friend, without knowing back then what a wonderful person he would become. She simply became friends with him. Her father saw it as an opportunity and pushed her to become the crown princess. To meet his expectations, she did her best. But it turns out that merely having the right outward appearance is not enough to impress him. Suddenly, someone barges into the room. The woman yells at Beat, demanding to know if she is still not ready for today, and questions whether Beat believes her role as the crown princess is just about standing among the decorations. She grabs her roughly, saying that Beat needs to begin studying immediately. This woman is her nanny, the same one who used to get her scolded by the Duke when she was little. She remembers how she once argued that she only told the butler because the nanny burned her favorite book. But her father had shouted at her, saying that just looking at books wouldn't make her grades improve, and asking if she thought she would become the crown princess just by getting dressed. Beat tried to say that it was the nanny's fault, but her father scolded her again for talking back. Her fate was made clear. Unless she passed the test with good grades, she would not be allowed to read even a single book. Even the maid had looked at her with pity then, because once again, she had been scolded by the Duke. Even her meal was pathetic that day, but that had been under the nanny's orders, and no one could do anything about it. The Duke remained cold-hearted. Back in the present, she vows to herself that she will not let it happen again. Beat snaps her hand away from the nanny. The nanny shouts at her, asking what in the hell she's doing, and if she's half asleep. But the hand she raises to hit her gets stuck midair when Beat asks what she thinks she's doing, if she is truly considering slapping her. The nanny says that it wasn't her intention. Still, she is furious that this little girl is actually daring to rebel. Beat used to get terrified even when someone pretended to hit her. The nanny screams at her that she is her nanny, the one responsible for her education, and demands to know if Beat is saying she no longer needs to be spoken to in such a way. Beat makes it absolutely clear that she doesn't need education from someone like her. The nanny scoffs, saying that Beat doesn't even seem affected by her poor grades. Beat declares that if she manages to prove she doesn't need the nanny's guidance, then the nanny will have to kneel before her and beg for forgiveness. The nanny is fuming, unable to believe that this little brat is acting like this. But she says fine, if Beat can prove herself, she'll give up on educating her. But if Beat fails, then she better be ready for the consequences. Beat knows that before anything else, she must get rid of the people standing in her way. She assures the nanny that if that's the case, she can dish out any punishment she wants because Beat is determined. She thinks that a nanny like her has no purpose around the Duke's mansion except to make people miserable. It would be better if she lost her place. So by any means necessary, if she can prove that she doesn't need her anymore, then she's going to throw her out of the mansion. Now, the Duke's aide reports to him that Beat has declared she no longer needs an education. The Duke is furious. If she is to become the crown princess, then she must be educated. His aide remarks that today, the tutor will be summoned to prove whether Beat's claim holds any weight. The Duke agrees, saying that in that case, he himself will evaluate the results. When the tutor arrives, he is stunned. He cannot believe how much Beat has grown in such a short period. Her knowledge, her poise, these are far beyond expectation. With such skill, she could even become a scholar. The tutor says he will go and inform the Duke right away. But Beat stops him. She says there's no need. She turns toward the nanny and coldly tells her to leave the house because she doesn't need her anymore. The nanny begins screaming, insisting that Beat cannot just throw her out like this. She says she'll tell the Duke immediately. Beat sighs. It's hard to believe she once used to tremble in fear of this pathetic woman. She makes it clear to the nanny that she cannot treat her recklessly anymore. The nanny retorts angrily, shouting that someone like Beat doesn't deserve to be the crown princess. Just yesterday, she was getting scolded by the Duke and crying her eyes out. How can someone like that possibly be fit for royalty? The aide is visibly agitated, noting that the nanny is crossing the line, but the Duke raises his hand and tells him to wait. Beat cannot believe what she's hearing. So the nanny truly was dissatisfied with her trying to become the crown princess? Then what was all that bullying for? Was it just jealousy? Was it resentment? Was it because her father, perhaps unknowingly, gave her more attention than the nanny ever received? She wonders if that is why the nanny always bullied her and lied to her father. The nanny scoffs at Beat's calm words and mutters that it would only take one thing to stop her from becoming the crown princess: if she burned her face. She threatens that if her own mind is ruined, she will make sure Beat's life is ruined as well. Beat thinks to herself that this woman is far more deranged than she had ever realized. The nanny raises the teacup with trembling hands, preparing to hurl it, but before Beat can act, the Duke arrives. The nanny rushes to the Duke, trying to paint herself as the victim. She tells him that Beat is refusing to receive an education, but the Duke scoffs at her and immediately orders his wife to remove the nanny from the house. Then, he turns to Beat and tells her to come outside with him. He instructs the butler to keep the wagon ready at the entrance. Sitting beside him in the carriage, Beat wonders if he knows the truth that the 10-year-old her, locked away in the temple, used to dream every day about coming back home. That she desperately longed to be loved by him. That, for her, that love felt like the only reason to live. The Duke breaks the silence and says that sending away the nanny was a good decision. He adds that she's really going to be the crown princess. But Beat thinks to herself that she no longer wants to be the crown princess. She doesn't need the title anymore. The Duke tells her that he didn't expect such good reviews from her tutor and admits that he may have neglected her for quite some time. Beat stares at him, thinking that there is one last thing she needs to say, something she must get off her chest. So she says it. She tells him that she doesn't want to be the crown princess. In the future, she wants to live as herself. Her father glares at her, stunned. It feels as if he thinks she's lost her mind just because he complimented her a little. In his eyes, her value lies solely in becoming the crown princess and raising the family's prestige. That's all she is to him. She quickly retracts her statement, saying she must have gotten it wrong. Perhaps she did lose her mind for a moment. After all, she is still young and powerless. She needs her father's position if she is to become an adult in this world. She tells him that if she truly is going to become the crown princess and raise their family, then he should at least give her the key to the family safe because she needs to learn how to manage money, too. The Duke turns to his aide and instructs him to handle this matter. She already has a plan in mind. Whatever her father tells her to do, she'll follow it, at least for now. The aide asks her if she's really planning to do this properly. Beat nods. Yes, because her plan is to enjoy the power and then leave. And to do that, she has to do it right, starting now. Upon waking, she asks the aide how much money she is allowed to spend. He explains that she is still young, so if she needs to get anything, she should simply tell him, and he will get it for her. Her father has given the key to him, which means the money she can spend is decided in this man's hands. Calluses on his palms and the sharpness in his eyes reveal the mindset of a knight. If he is acting as an attendant now, then he must be a former knight. The reason she is able to recognize this is because there were many knights who survived the terrible war and returned to the city. So she tells him that, for the knights who returned home to the arms of the gods after the war, she wants to donate to them, at least to honor their souls. The aide says that the Duke does not donate to the temple, and that is why she declares she will do it in secret. The aide finds it strange, thinking how the Duke refuses to donate to the temple, yet this young girl is showing such a thoughtful side. He thinks she is like an angel, just as a saintess should be. He nods and hands the key to her. She is visibly overjoyed. She snickers to herself. What donation? This money is going straight into the hands of the Dark Guild, not the temple. But she does wonder whether it will even be used properly, even if she were to send it to the temple. When she was the Saintess, she had been forced to live a life of integrity, always under high expectation. Yet the very eyes that forced her to live that way belonged to the most corrupt people of all. Even though she had known what kind of person he was, she had trusted and followed him like a fool. Now, however, she is ready to spend the money as she pleases. She checks just how much she is allowed to use, and it turns out to be a significant amount. Meanwhile, the beast maid Kitty is throwing a tantrum, refusing to let her go out alone. Beat asks her to let her go, insisting she has some things to do. She is planning to go out and gather information about Lina, but Kitty has caught her. After all, going out alone at the age of 10 is absolutely impossible. Kitty asks what is wrong with her and why she is leaving the house so often. She thinks Beat has changed a lot and is acting strange, always staring out the window after reading that letter. She tries to comfort her, saying that she should not be too disappointed. David is probably just busy, and surely he must be missing her too. David is her older brother. Ever since they were children, he had joined the academy while she entered the temple. They had hardly communicated since then. But looking back at the way he acted at the age of 20, it seems that he might like Lina more. She wonders whether she will be able to get along with him this time. Then the two hear someone calling at the mansion gate. Kitty learns that some guests have arrived and says that she will go check. Meanwhile, Bea wonders if David still remembers how, at her 8th birthday, he had given her a necklace as a gift. Suddenly, she hears someone shouting to bring her out right now. She turns to see what on earth is happening, but Kitty stops her from going outside, saying that the academy kids are here and she should go back to her room. But the academy kids shout at her, demanding to know where the hell she thinks she is running off to, and how dare she look someone like David in the eye. They call her an arrogant little kid, shocking her. What on earth is this supposed to mean now? The girl shouts at them, demanding to know why she didn't give that cheeky reply to David this time, and how she can ignore him so easily. This girl is Angelia. Anton asks if she thinks David is just some insignificant kid. Victor is furious, asking how she dares to treat David like this. But she stands there completely clueless, confused and overwhelmed, thinking what on earth are they even talking about? Do they really believe she's been disrespecting her own brother? She assures them with all sincerity that she has never disrespected her brother. But Angelia continues shouting, saying that she sent him all those letters and gifts, and got nothing in return. Beat stands frozen as one of the servants nearby looks visibly nervous. And then, like lightning striking her memory, it suddenly dawns on her back when her nanny was in charge, all her letters were supervised by her. Once the nanny was dismissed, there had been no one to handle those letters, and that meant no one had replied. All those unanswered letters must have made the children think that she had been ignoring David on purpose. Tears start to fall from her eyes as she realizes she didn't even know what was written in those letters. Angelia explains that the academy hosts an event every year to discuss the achievements of its students, and no matter how terrible a family is, the children still attend. David sent her invitations for 3 years straight, but each time, she had refused to come. That had made him incredibly lonely. They had tried so hard to make her happy, and yet he had remained on her side. She admits that this is entirely her fault. She decides to take the blame, and asks what she should do to offer a sincere apology. Anton says that she will have to kiss the floor, but this shocks her no matter how much she loves her brother. How dare they try to treat a princess like this? She clenches her fists, realizing that kindness alone cannot resolve everything. She wonders what she should do with these kids who dare threaten her like this. Just then, David arrives from behind. His voice rings out, declaring that in their family, they do not bow to anyone, not even the king. All of them are shocked to see him standing there. But more than that, David says something even more surprising: he doesn't remember inviting them here. Angelia insists that they came only to get an apology for him, and that they are worried about him. David shouts back, asking who said he wanted an apology. She doesn't understand why such a great kid like him would defend someone like Beat. But David explains that he heard she is smart, capable, and has even been acknowledged by their father. That makes her a greater person than him in his eyes. She is stunned, thinking that her brother truly must love her deeply. He must have felt so alone all this time. He suddenly says that he's going to pull their hair out now, charging at them. But she quickly runs to him, telling him that she can do this for him. She doesn't want him to dirty his hands for her. She turns to the others and throws them out, commanding them not to show their faces to David again unless he personally says so. As they leave, David quietly tells Beat that he is sorry his friends caused her trouble. Now, she turns to the servant and demands to know why her brother's letters and gifts were never delivered. The servant responds nervously that he only did as he was told. She is furious, realizing that the nanny was behind all of this. She orders him to bring the letters and presents back. But the servant tells her that he has already returned many of them and even sold a few. He then turns and tries to run away. She glares at him with pure rage, asking where the hell he thinks he's going. Not only had he failed to return her things, but now he was trying to flee. He stammers out an apology, saying he will go and fix it, but she knows it's already too late. Now all she wants is to heal her brother, who may have been hurt so deeply because of that wretched nanny. She wonders if there is any way to reach out to him, to truly connect with him. Then her eyes fall upon the necklace he had given her on her 8th birthday. Beat is now running, her footsteps light but quick, as she hurries to the training ground where her brother is currently practicing. She spots him from a distance, his figure in motion, fully focused on his training. Watching him, she wonders if he has truly taken an interest in the sword. Seeing this level of dedication from him makes her consider returning later to avoid disturbing him. However, as she steps on a loose rock, it shifts under her weight, catching his attention. He abruptly turns and calls out, asking who is there. When he sees Beat, his face changes, a faint flush rising as he accidentally drops his sword. He asks why she is here. Beat notices the sword is falling and instinctively moves to catch it, but David reacts quickly, hitting it away from her hand. He shouts at her that she must not touch a sword with bare hands. She apologizes, but he says she doesn't need to be sorry, he was just worried she might get hurt. He then says he will leave now and asks her not to come to places like this alone. Beat calls out to him again, making him pause and wonder if she has something to say. She steps forward, wanting to show him the necklace and tell him that she hasn't forgotten about him, but it already seems like he's disappointed in her. She quickly tells him that it's not like that, and she apologizes for disturbing his practice. However, he replies that it's alright as there hasn't acknowledged his skill in this field, so it doesn't matter if she interrupts his training, which he now calls meaningless. Beat assures him that it didn't look meaningless to her at all. But David appears sad, saying he won't be able to help the family and that the family needs her more than him. He adds that even their father once told him he is nothing compared to her. Beat is stunned. She doesn't understand this at all because her father used to say that she was nothing like him. She tells David that this isn't true, that he is the one who is going to inherit the succession, and even their father had said that he is the best. But David doesn't seem to believe any of it. Beat, determined, assures him again that it is the truth. As she speaks, David's gaze shifts toward the necklace around her neck. Beat gently explains that it is the very same necklace he had given her on her birthday. She wonders aloud if he can now see how sincere she is. David quietly admits that he thought she had thrown it away. Beat reacts with disbelief. How could she possibly do that, especially when it was given to her by him? Her face lights up as she thanks him sincerely, barely able to believe that he is smiling. All this time, she had assumed he was unfriendly because of his expression, but now that she thinks about it, he is actually a kind person. Later that night, Beat lies in bed, deeply upset over how her father had shattered David's self-esteem so thoroughly. If this continues, she fears he will end up even more hurt. Unable to rest, she quietly goes to him and finds that he is still training, his form tense under the moonlight. David tells her that this is the only thing he can do. The sadness in his voice strikes her hard. She tells him with conviction that she is sure he will become the best knight. Yet, even as she speaks, she can see in his expression that he is still insecure. But she decides to wait and see. From that day forward, she starts complimenting her brother as naturally as breathing, never once imagining that he would change so much in such a short time. A few days later, she prepares to go out secretly, telling Kitty that she will be staying in her room all day. However, just as she is about to leave, David appears in front of her, looking like a puppy and asking where she is going. While it's heartening to see that he has become more confident, it also means she can no longer sneak out unnoticed. She tells him clearly that she can't come to him today as she is busy, but seeing his reaction, his eyes almost brimming with tears, she nearly panics. David, with a soft voice and puffy eyes, asks if he is bothering her again. Beat quickly assures him that it's not that at all, she just has something important to do today. Still sulking, David mutters that he'll come back once she's done with her busy part. But then an idea comes to her. She can actually get his help. She calls him back, saying she has a favor to ask. She leans in and whispers the plan to him. David seems a bit hesitant at first, but upon seeing the sparkling determination in her eyes, he nods and agrees. Now all dressed up, she prepares to leave. Kitty tries to stop her, saying she can't go out like that, but David steps in, declaring that she is going out with him and that they don't need any more nights. Together, they finally reach their destination. David turns to her and asks if this is really where she wanted to come. She smiles and says yes, this is the place where they're going to strike a great deal. The two siblings now step into the guild, the air inside thick and dimly lit, with a strange tension that immediately makes one feel unwelcome. A creepy man approaches them, his eyes narrowed with suspicion, and asks where they learned about this place. His tone implies this isn't a location meant for children. Beat meets his gaze and firmly states that she wants to meet the chief. Her demand makes the guild guide laugh mockingly, amused by her youthful boldness. He scoffs, wondering if just anyone can waltz in and demand to see the chief. Without hesitation, Beat tosses a pouch of money onto the table, her voice sharp and clear as she declares that now they should be allowed to meet him. Once, when she had still held the title of Saintess, there was a time when black witches had flourished across the land. During that chaotic period, investigations by several guilds had revealed something disturbing, that this very guild had been aiding those dark forces. Beat had learned that Guild Ion was deeply involved, yet no one had been able to catch them red-handed. She still finds it difficult to believe that she is now relying on them. Eventually, the guide leads them to the chief. Beat's heart begins to race with excitement. She is about to see Ivan again. She wonders what kind of expression he's going to make. But to her surprise, the man they meet is calm and devoted, not at all the sly figure she remembered. Ivan greets them warmly, asking if they missed him. Beat doesn't hesitate and tells him that she has a job for him. Ivan's face grows serious, his voice dropping low as he says he doesn't want to get involved in anything dangerous. He warns her that the gods will be truly angry, and that the risk is far too high to make any deal with her family. He advises them to leave. Beat is shocked. Ivan already knows who they are. As expected, he's just as capable as ever. She then asks him if he knows the contents of the trust. Ivan narrows his eyes and questions if she is referring to the oracle, the one that predicts where the Saintess will descend and where she will serve. Beat calmly confirms that yes, she is that Saintess, and she is offering him a chance to be loyal to God once more. Even David is startled by this declaration, and Ivan starts to laugh, calling it blasphemy. He slams his hand down and accuses her of mocking his faith. Beat tells him that she doesn't doubt his devotion. She later discovers that the real reason she had never been able to catch him was because of the high priest, the same high priest who had convinced Ivan to make such generous donations to the temple. At the time, she thought those donations were merely a strategic move, a way to prepare for the unexpected. But she now understands that it wasn't like that at all. Determined, she decides to reveal her identity. She tells Ivan that she isn't insulting his faith, but Ivan challenges her. How can he believe her? Beat responds confidently, telling him that this winter, an oracle will arrive. A divine flower will bloom, and it will choose the Saintess. If someone else is chosen instead of her, then he may take her life. She adds that her family holds the most powerful force in the entire White Empire. Even her father, who is said to have returned alive from a war that many believe would be his grave, is not someone to be taken lightly. Anyone thinking of bothering the daughter of such a man should be prepared for the consequences. As she speaks, Ivan visibly tenses. The weight of her words hits him hard. He admits that assassination is a different matter. It strikes during one's happiest moment, catching its target completely off guard. That is the reason he's so infamous, and yet he has not taken her life. He wonders aloud how she can say these things so easily. Beat replies simply it's because she is going to be the Saintess. Ivan begins to laugh again, this time with a sense of resignation. He says alright, he can't help it anymore. As the two siblings exit his office, David turns to Beat, asking why she lied like that. Beat looks at him and explains that she didn't lie, she told the truth, and she didn't hide it from him because she trusts him. David is stunned. It becomes clear to him that she isn't joking. Beat tells him that she can't reveal more at the moment, but promises that she will explain everything when the time is right. She then asks if he's going to tell their father. Just as she finishes the question, something passes through her mind, dark and sudden. David flinches, his body reacting instinctively. She quickly places her hand over his mouth to keep him silent. They see that it is Marquis Hort. David tells her that he thinks it might be best if they don't get seen by him here. But she wonders what Hort might be doing in this place. David says that no legal business would bring him to a place like this. She plans to ask Ivan to investigate Hort. Ivan is the head of the Ion Guild. He also promised to find Lina before the oracle bloom and that he will come meet her with the news. She wonders if he really thinks that he can sneak into the mansion. Beat groans as he says that she doesn't need to pay and wonders if Ivan is doing this by holding something else of hers as collateral. All of this is really confusing for her. David, not caring about anything else, tells her that now that she is done with her work, should they go. She agrees, saying that she is here to meet Kale. Kitty tells her that Kale is going to come here soon. She adds that it seems like he cherishes her a lot, as he has called her as soon as he returned from the Imperial Palace. But she thinks that Kale is not actually that fond of her, and it is her father who is forcing them together. Kitty says that everyone thinks she is going to become the crown princess. She sighs, knowing that this is all her father's doing. Kitty asks if, by any chance, she feels uncomfortable coming here. Beat says that it is not the case, but she doesn't want to be the crown princess. Still, Kale and she are childhood friends, so she just can't abandon him like this. She says that she needs to ask something from Kale. Finally, Kale arrives, looking super adorable. She is all in love, wondering if he really is Kale. He is saying something when he suddenly starts coughing. She goes to him, humming as she asks if he is alright and if maybe he should go back to his room.